Hey everybody, we're back with another Christmas comic book review. It's the second installment to the Klaus series written by Grant Morrison or by Dan Mora. Uh, a couple weeks ago, I did the first Klaus, the beginning of Santa Claus. There's like at least six installments. I think I counted that right. This is gonna be the last Christmas comic that I'm gonna be doing this year. Uh, I'll have continuation of the Klaus stuff, at least two more next December. So uh, since the first adventure of Klaus, some time has passed, and before I continue on, please leave a like, hit the notification bell, share this with your friends, and let me know what you think of the Klaus comics if you read any of the Boom Studios runs, as well as follow me in the links in the description. Anyway, some time has passed, and apparently, in between the first adventure up until now, Klaus has been engaged in some kind of civil war and trapped on the moon with some moon chains. Uh, uh, so he's been gone for a while, and he happens upon this house after almost colliding with this flying snowman and meeting up with this dad whose kids have been abducted by that snowman. And of course, he freaks out at first. He thinks Klaus is some kind of burglar, and you try to hit him with like a bat, but of course it breaks off upon uh, Klaus's physique. And of course, he's not thinking too much of it. It's really not affecting him. And and the guy is shocked, like, "Oh, wow, you're the real Santa Claus. How do you deliver all those presents in one night?" And Klaus points out, "I started doing that years ago. Population got too big. I relied on other Santas, probably meaning mall Santas, and then parents like you to do my job for me." So Klaus, taking it upon himself to go rescue this man's children, he put him on like a magic spell to have him sleep until by the time he wakes up, his kids should be back. So he takes Lily and the other wolves on his sleigh to track down where these kids went off to, at least follow the trail of the snowman. And of course, the kids wake up in this kind of weird, macabre factory where all these uh, uh, wooden dolls are being manufactured. And of course, they get up on their own because they're also enchanted. And so, Santa crash lands, uh, up north into the snowy bank, and immediately gets attacked by these, uh, you know, snowman behemoths. Inside, they're not just made out of pure snow. They're inside. They're the enchanted wooden soldiers, covered up by ice, and they're being controlled by the Witch of Winter, pretty much like an evil Elsa. And you find out that she's uh I guess the Earth's population is encroaching on her lands, so this is her trying to fight back because she doesn't like the heat. She doesn't want all that construction, which means fire and all that other stuff. Pretty much like you know uh ruining her territory. I think it's kind of like kind of speaking on global warming a bit, I guess, and overpopulation, I guess. So Santa ends up getting captured with Lily just waiting in the winds to make her move. And you find that uh, they want. It's never fully explained. I never got like why they didn't need both children, but they have taken both of them for some reason. But there's the there's a girl and her younger brother, and he's probably no more than maybe 5 or 6, while she probably is a couple of ages above him. And of course, their mom died, so it's just them and the father. So things are a little hard. And she ends up getting taken, or at least getting mind controlled by the Witch of Winter, kind of feeding off her sadness and despair. Santa wakes up in a dungeon with a former apprentice of his, Geppetto. It was kind of funny. I never understood why they needed Geppetto in this, but I guess because he is responsible of making these wooden dolls, so I guess it kind of correlates. Don't think they needed to be specifically Geppetto, but and of course he had to be like apprentice to Santa Claus, and that's why he has the skills making wooden dolls that come to life. I guess they kind of ignored the whole blue fairy aspect of that story. Which is kind of ironic. It wasn't too long ago when the two different Pinocchio movies came out in the past month or so. So it's kind of very timely. And haven't watched them. So far as I've heard, the Del Toro one is supposed to be good, while the other one was not. Geppetto, of course, feels ashamed because he's, kind of forced to make these wooden monstrosities using the things that he was taught by Santa himself in order to make these things, kind of pervert his lessons, which he didn't want to do, but he was kind of forced to, because Geppetto, in order to, he was over nearly 200 years old, because he kind of replaced most of his body, except his head and heart, with wooden attachments to keep they're enchanted, so to keep him his long life. But when he's near like fire, they kind of quickly rapid ages him. So he's in constant state of fear. And Santa is appalled by seeing a former elf of his called like a spoon licker or something like that. He's constantly licking his spoon and got like just like green kind of slime on it, or saliva, I guess. And he's kind of like a vengeful former employee, unlike most of the other elves, because like I guess half of the elves chose to work with the Witch of Winter and revolt against Santa, while the others still loyal to Santa, because Spoon Licker feel like he was being worked to death for nothing. It wasn't even worked to death. He's very over exaggerated. He just like, I guess Santa didn't bother to have like any kind of union, but or at least like offer any kind of pension or compensation for their work in helping him make toys. So Spoonlicker takes Santa to meet the Witch of Winter. Along the way, they pass by these like wooden statues. Well, they're kind of made of wood, but they also are colored and dressed. Of these different interpretations over the years of what Santa Claus is supposed to look like in different generations or civilizations, and each one at the bottom of the podium they're standing on, because they're big statues, has different names upon which different cultures have named Santa Claus. And I thought that was pretty dope touch. And he upon meets the Witch of Winter, who not until the very end of the story rarely, really doesn't speak. Spoonlicker does the speaking for her. And of course, Klaus is trying to save the little girl has who the witch has in her thrall. Uh, uh, Santa's trying to get the girl to come to him, but she, under that ice magic, you know, feeding off her anger because that she kept hidden to herself, that she tried to put up a brave face. She lost her mom, and she has to, you know, she's sad too, and people telling her to get over it at school, and you know, it's like too much for her. And I guess the father didn't. It's not specified whether how the father speak to these kids about like processing their grief upon losing their mother. So of course she's holding resentment that she just kept buried, beneath the surface, and she kind of taking it out on Santa. While Santa is getting attacked by all these frozen snowmen, Lily comes in, try to save the day, but Spoonlicker, who was about to use the dagger to change Santa into a mindless minion of the witch, attacks Lily, who gets enthralled. But thanks to the warmth of Santa and singing this tune only these two share between each other, brings Lily out of that mind control. Then the other elves comes in with Geppetto and the little brother, and I'm blanking on their doggone names, the boy and the girl. Uh, Let me scroll back here. Ben and Naomi. That was Ben and Naomi. So, thanks to the elves, they enchant and Geppetto, they enchant the wooden Santas to all, to have like Santa his own little army to fight against all these enchanted snowmen. And like a swing fight, carries on. It was like awesome. It has all these army of Santas of different cultural backgrounds taking on and whooping all these Santa's ass. Of course, most of them go down eventually because they're made of wood, and eventually they get taken down, but not before uh, uh, Santa takes the fight uh, to Spoonlicker and the witch. And of course, thanks to Geppetto's sacrifice by fending off the bulk of the snowman with his flame, with his torch, but in the ensuing fight, the torch rapidly ages him, and he ends up passing away from this rapid age. Uh, but thanks to Ben, because using the same method Santa did against his wolf Lily, uh, bringing out the feelings and warmth and all the good stuff and the memories out of Lily, Ben ends up doing the exact same thing for Naomi, which warms the icy touch clutches that which is the witch put on her. Then Spoonlicker tried to come after Santa, but one of the snowmen came crashing through. There's one large snowman, and then it's on fire, and then crashes on top of Spoonlicker, burning him alive. Then, with all this fire going around, the witch is like, cowering because it's like, she's like, repulsed by the fire and the flames. But Santa, instead of acting out of vengefulness, comes at her with warmth and love. He points out that uh, uh, like me, the blue lady can never die. Unlike me, her fate is to be born anew. And this is when she eventually starts talking. It's never specified why she just kept silent for the most of the thing, or and what was the purpose of grabbing these kids. It's like if the point was uh, to ensnare children to turn against Santa, she would have grabbed more than these two children. It would have been a lot more. But I guess that would have been derivative because that's not that dissimilar to what went on with the previous, or at least the first arc, with all these children being rounded up. Uh, uh, she's now like, less of an ice princess, more of like a, I don't know, renewal of the. She got an icy kind of staff, and it kind of turns into like a, wooden one with like blooming leaves and stuff on it. Uh, so she kind of born anew with a more like a warming iceness or gentle iceness to it. It's never explained like what is she now, because she's still kind of like a ice queen, but not dangerous. So Santa decides that he will rebuild, but not before he decides to take these children back to their father. And I mean, that's the end of the story. I mean, I love it's still a fun story, quick read. I love the art still, but it's just I think I wish there was a little bit more explaining why she needed the children. If it's the children or just people in general, because you will see a lot more people that she might have kidnapped, and not just these two. That was probably the most confusing. Uh, I guess it's cool to have Geppetto as the supreme wood maker, since they couldn't specifically get Klaus himself. And how long they've been doing this, because it's kind of coincidental, just when Klaus gets free from his bindings on the moon, because they pointed that out, because like, they can enact a plan now that Santa is free, but it's like everything seems to happen extremely on coincidence. I think the narrative is lacking in some areas. Not that I still didn't get a thrill out of the read, but it's just like they could have done some more. It could have earned more pages explaining certain things and the purpose of the witch's plan overall, and the purpose of gathering these kids. But I mean, it's a nice read. Hopefully next year when I read more of the Klaus comics, I would get more from, at least more meat to the story than I did here. But it was a quick read. I wanted to, after the enjoyment I had in the first Klaus book, I was looking forward to this. I was a little bit disappointed in this story, to be fair, just to be honest. But it's still worth a read, just to continue on with the narrative of the adventures of Santa Claus. But check it out. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of it yourself. Do you agree with me or do you disagree? Uh, yeah, that's. I think that'll be the end of, at least this is the last comic of the year that I'll be reviewing. Uh, by the new year, I will be starting a lot of X-Men related comics and to review, as well as TV shows and the movies, of course. And every once in a while, I put in some other movies and TV shows to review in between all that, so I don't get bored and burnt out with X-Men stuff. So anyway, I will see you guys a little bit later tonight when I continue on with more Gotham Knights. Uh, Try to get into more Evil West and play some more of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, because I haven't played that in a hot minute. So anyway, I will see you guys later. Take care.